Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are continuing with looking at some of the South African tech tree project stuff, and this time we're going to be having a look at helicopters. Now this will be split into two parts. The first part that you see here will be all about the Rooivalk, because of course that is an amazing machine with a lot of very interesting intricacies, and also the second part will be focusing on the rest of the tech tree. So make sure, as usual, there will be links in the description. So make sure to check out the articles which are there on the vehicles themselves, and also make sure to join the South African Tech Tree Project Discord. The guys have been doing a bunch of really interesting events, partnering with some great skin creators and a bunch of different other people as well. And as always, it's nice to be able to get involved in different communities, relying on, different areas of the game. So get involved in that, go and have a chat, find out about South African stuff, and also enjoy the video.
Firstly, I would like to give a shout out to Plane-Encyclopedia, who will be publishing my article on the Rooivalk Mark 1 combat support helicopter in the first week of March this year. Be sure to visit the page and give them a like. We are now going to look at the Tier 7 tech tree in the helicopter. I'm going to talk about the Rooivalk and all of its incarnations, starting with the continued development. The Rooivalk's development began under project name Chickadee in 1984, which became Impose as a later project name. Much of the technologies developed for the XTP-1 would find their way to the Rooivalk experimental development model. Its primary purpose was to test the aircraft dynamics, mechanical, aerodynamic, and structural design, flight performance, and to do weapons carriage clearance. The contract for the advanced development model was placed in 1988 and completed in 1992, with the first phase flight on 22 May 1992. The ADM was used to verify the avionic design and implementation, weapons development, and integration platform. The traditional instruments were replaced by 3 multifunction displays, and the avionics system proved to minimize the aircrew workload significantly. The Rooivalk ADM would be the first ever attack helicopter in the world to fly with a MFD glass cockpit. The ADM featured a military standard 1553B digital data bus system and was equipped with the ZT-3 Ingwe anti-tank guided missile, as well as a 20mm cannon mounted to a TC-20 chin turret. This is the same cannon that's used on the Ratel 20. The second phase of testing commenced on 23 July until 4 December 1992 and involved in-flight operations of the integrated management system, the health monitor system, and the automatic flight control system and the communication system. The third phase of testing was focused on the weapon system and included nose-mounted main sight system, the 20mm cannon, and the ZT-3 anti-tank missile in March 1994. Both weapon systems were successfully tested. With potential international exports in mind, the Rooivalk was developed according to US military requirements and standards, which would only require small adjustments to make it compatible with US weapons, such as the Hellfire ATG-GM. The engineering development model was developed as a platform to incorporate lessons learned from the XDM and the ADM, as well as to incorporate South African Air Force update user requirements, as well as for doctrine and mission development. The purpose of the EDM was to qualify the avionics, weapon systems, airframe, and the airborne systems before serial production could commence. Additionally, the EDM was used to refine the required logistical support. The EDM saw many structural changes as well as weight reduction. It represents the beginning of the Rooivalk assembly line. The first South African Rooivalk was delivered on 7 May 1998 and was subsequently upgraded to block start with 1A up to the current 1F, which is referred to as the Mark 1 baseline. The South African Air Force would only take delivery of 6 fully operational military certified Mark 1s in April 2011. The Rooivalk Mark 1 included 130 modifications, which included improved sight and targeting system, communication system, gearbox, self-protection, and the ability to fire the Makopa ATG-M. improve the reliability of the 20mm cannon as well. Design features. The Rooivalk's mission was envisaged according to the then role of an armed attack helicopter in a conventional war. This included operations with mechanized forces, deep penetration into enemy territory, air defense suppression, counter-helicopter and anti-armor operations, counter-air operations against air bases, helicopter escort missions, maritime patrol, and reconnaissance. Based around these requirements, the Rooivalk design philosophy centered around 4 pillars, namely not to be seen, if seen not to be hit, if hit to sustain flight, and if flight could not be maintained, the pilots should survive the crash. Let's quickly look at the performance. The performance was designed to exceed the demands required during the first 24 hours of high-intensity war while in unfriendly territory. The Rooivalk is powered by 2 Turbomeca Makila 1K2 turboshaft engines, which produce 1,845 horsepower. It has an empty weight of 5.9 tons and a max takeoff weight of 8.7 tons, which equals to a carrying capacity of 2.8 tons. Its typical mission weight is 7.5 tons. Its broad performance envelope includes operating in temperatures between -35 and +50 degrees Celsius, takeoff and landing between -3,000 feet and +19,200 feet, and a flight altitude of 20,000 feet. Its hover over ground effect is 5,029 meters, which is comparatively high when measured against the Apache, which is 3,866, the Mi-28 Havoc, which is 3,600, and the Ka-50, which is 3,600, as well as the Eurocopter, which is 3,200. At mission weight, it has a cruising speed of 278 kilometers an hour and a top speed of 309. It can fly sideways at 92 kilometers an hour. At sea level, it can ascend 670 meters a minute, which is 11 meters a second, with a maximum hovering ceiling of 5,545 meters and a service ceiling of 6,095. The Rooivalk has a minimum endurance of 216 minutes and 412 minutes with external fuel drop tanks, which allows it to self-deploy some 1,260 kilometers. Its combat radius, when fully armed, is 740 kilometers with reserve fuel. The airframe is rated at plus 3.5 Gs and minus 0.5 Gs. The Rooivalk ranks among the top helicopters with regard to cruise speed, operational range, rate of climb, weapons layout, loadout, and power to weight, which are all essentials during combat operations. Aircraft layout. The aircrew stations are of step design, which reduces the glare from the sun associated with a tandem design. Access to either side of each station is via upwards hinges, flat windows. The aircrew station for the pilots is seated in the rear, and the weapon system officer is seated in the front, and make use of hands-on collective and stick control. This dashboard features 3 multifunction displays, which are vital as the Rooivalk would spend 90 to 95% of its time between 5 and 20 meters above the ground, flying nap of the earth. The gearbox itself is mounted on a tuned beam, which is a vibration isolation system in order to minimize vibration on the airframe. The engine intakes are fitted with a highly efficient particle separator with a 97% efficiency against the particles of 10 microns. Air from the engine is directed upwards through infrared suppressors into the rotor blades downwash in order to disperse the heat and produce its infrared signature. The Rooivalk has 3 internal fuel tanks located in the middle of the airframe under the stub wings center section. Each carries 480 kilograms of fuel. The stub wings are fitted on either side of the airframe and have a straight rectangular shape. The landing gear is of fixed design and consists of 2 forward wheels on the forward section of the airframe and the tail wheel. Endurance and logistics. The Rooivalk was subsequently designed to operate for extended periods with minimum support and maintenance in the field with basic spares, which are transportable via an RX helicopter. The Rooivalk's overall design incorporates easy refueling and rearming. Engine features highly efficient sand filters, which help reduce wear and tear on the extends its service life. Avionics and weapon system. The Rooivalk makes use of the advanced integrated digital military standard Class 2 weapon station and the MIL standard 1553B avionics system. The system allows total mission modes, target acquisition, flight control, health and usage monitoring, communication, threat detection and control, and flight and fuel. The avionics system is fully digital and incorporates night vision goggles compatible with the glass cockpit technology for low light night vision. This allows accurate navigation, pre-programmed tactical flight plans with moving digital map and flight data projection onto liquid crystal multifunction displays. The multifunction displays allow the aircrews to switch between navigation, flight control, weapons control, threat warning, and imagery from the sensors when required. The nose-mounted gyro-stabilized sensor turret housing with auto-tracking contains the target acquisition designation site known as Night Owl system. It consists of 3 forward observation looking FLIR with automatic tracking, LLTV, and laser rangefinding and designator. The 3 fields of view include thermal and low light display, have recording function with playback facilities and sight queuing. This allows for pop-up missile engagement based on target location recorded during high threat situations. The aircrew's helmet-mounted sight display both flight and weapon data and can both cue the turret-mounted 20mm cannon and other armaments. All armaments can be used by either the weapon system officer, although the use of the Makopa could be laser designated by sight or from an extended external source, like a ground team. The pilot can, for example, use the cannon and rockets to suppress enemy fire while the weapon system officer fires the Makopa. The pilot and weapon system officer cue the primary sight via the helmet sight and thereby show the other a target of opportunity or immediate threat. The fire control system allows the flight crew to pop up from behind cover, scan the surrounding area, drop down and identify targets via video recording playback function. Select a target and attack or relay the target information to another Rooivalk or ground force via secure link. It would be interesting to see if Gaijin can implement that. The helmet mounted display the aircrew uses is also known as the top owl and incorporates an integrated measurement system to control the weapons. The helmet makes use of electromagnetic tracking, which allows the pilot or weapon system officer to look at the target, thereby directing the weapon on the target. The helmet has an integrated Generation 4 image intensifier and FLIR capability, which can be switched between with the push of a button. The top owl was developed by Sexton Aviation, and which were later merged with Tails. Both helmets have 2 monocular display modules, which integrated CRT, which can project the heads-up display information as well as video imagery into the crew's members' line of sight. The communication suite consists of a retake radar system, ACR 500 transceiver, and AC 500 controller. The suite includes 2 dual frequency hopping, very high frequency and ultra high frequency transceivers with frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, and digital speed processing on high frequency radio, which with a secure voice and data channel for nap of the flying. Also included is an IFF transponder. Main armament. During its development, the Rooivalk's weapon systems allowed for a wide range of South African weapons. The layout and complement of armaments have remained generally the same. For the purpose of this, I'm going to look at the ADM and then after the Rooivalk Mark I. The Rooivalk ADM stub wings each have 3 pylons, 1 on the stub wings for air-to-air missiles and 2 underneath. The weapons pylons could be arranged according to mission requirements. Under the Rooivalk ADM nose is a TC20 hydraulic-driven mount for a GA120x84mm single-feed Rattler cannon. It has a muzzle velocity of 720 meters a second and can fire 600 to 750 rounds per minute. Ammunition consists of HEI, HET, and APHEI. Some 400 rounds are carried in an ammunition magazine located under the weapons officer's station. The air-to-air missile was a single South African supersonic passive heat-seeking V3B cookerette with a proportional navigation. It has a maximum speed of 1,870 kilometers an hour and a range of 5 kilometers with a 40 G tolerance with a flight duration of 25 seconds. It is the first successful helmet-slave missile system in the world. The HR-68 rocket launcher pod carries 1868 millimeter unguided folding air rockets. The rocket is powered by a 31 kilogram rocket motor, which gives a maximum velocity of 450 meters a second with a range of 1,600 meters. It could carry a Quattro missile tube for either ZT-3 Swift or ZT-35 Ingwe laser beam riding anti-tank guided missiles, which have a 4-kilometer and 5-kilometer standoff range, respectively. Both are equipped with high explosive anti-tank warheads. The ZTC Swift can penetrate 650 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor, and the ZT-35 Ingwe 1,000 millimeters. The latter is also equipped with a tandem warhead to defeat explosive reactive armor. The Rooivalk Mark I weapons complement differs significantly from the ADMs. The stub rings retain the 3 weapons pylons, however, the stub wing pylon has moved under the wing. Apologies, the stub wingtip pylon has moved under the wing. For the Rooivalk Mark I, the cannon was changed to the battle-proven GI-20, which is mounted on the Ratel 20 infantry combat vehicle with a new chin-mounted system, which includes hydraulic-driven elevation and azimuth drive control. It fires 620 to 740 rounds a minute. Operating envelope is minus 110 to plus 110 degrees azimuth, and minus 55 to plus 15 degrees elevation. Reaction time is 1.8 seconds from selection to firing at 60 degrees and traverse at minus 45 degrees. Its slave rate is 90 degrees a second. The cannon has 2 modes of operation, namely quick reaction and accurate mode. The former entails using the helmet-mounted sights of slewing the cannon on target, while the latter makes use of the nose-mounted sight for long-range shooting. It can fire a armor-piercing round at 1,300 meters a second and can penetrate 15 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor at 2 kilometers. The auto-feed mechanism of the 20 millimeter gun allows, with a flip of a switch, the immediate change between 2 different ammunition belts, each of them 350 rounds, which feed into the cannon. For the rockets, the Mark I carries 19 x 70 Vogels Zeebrugge unguided FFARs. The rocket power has a maximum velocity of 1,250 meters and a range of 9.1 kilometers. The rockets can fire individually, in pairs, or sets of 4, and the articulated pylons raised or lowered for optimal trajectory. Recently, the Mark I also test-fired the FC laser-guided rocket variant, which enhances the accuracy to less than 1 meter at targets at 4 to 5 kilometers away. Originally designed for use on the Ratel ZT-3 ICV and successfully incorporated into the Rooivalk ADM, the ZT-35 missile is too slow to be used on an aircraft, which it takes around 25 seconds to reach 4 kilometers, which exposes the Rooivalk to enemy air defense. Studies showed that exposure over 10 seconds dramatically decreases a helicopter's survivability. The ZT-3 missile has been replaced by a state-of-the-art long-range precision-guided ZT-6 Mokopa anti-tank guided missile. The missile can be fired into the traditional direct lock or launch or lock-on after launch, low or high. With the lock-on after launch, the missile flies in the general direction of the target until it detects a designated laser beam illuminating the target within the last 8 seconds of flight. The Rooivalk can also launch several Mokopa missiles in rapid-fire mode and designate using different laser codes. Another Rooivalk or ground-based designator can also be used to eliminate targets, which the Mokopa will then guide towards. Rapid fire can also be synchronized with illuminating individual targets, which each Mokopa will then allocate to and guide towards, which is going to be devastating in ground combat. Making use of semi-active laser guidance, the Mokopa is of a modular design and can carry penetration, fragmentation, and anti-armor. Unlike the ZT-3 Ingwe, the Mokopa is designed to approach a target such as a main battle tank at an angle from above to hit where it is least armored on the roof. The tandem heat warhead which can defeat ERA, is capable of penetrating 1,350 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor. Making use of a solid fuel composite rocket motor with a slow burning rate, it can engage targets up to 10 kilometers away. It only has an error probability of 30 centimeters. It was tested and qualified in, let me quickly see, 2011. It can also be configured to use MMW or IIR guidance and carry multiple purpose warheads. The MMW is a true fire and forget missile which can be pre-programmed with a target's location to which it will guide itself after launch. For air-to-air engagement, the Rooivalk Mark I can be armed with 4 all-aspect, fully digital Matra Mistral heat-seeking missiles. The missiles are carried on Atom launcher pods on the outermost pylons of the stub wings. The Mistrals can fire at targets from either the helmet-mounted sight and the main sight. The missiles have a maximum speed of 2,600 kilometers with a 12G tolerance and a range of 6.5 kilometers. The last section is protection, and then I am done with the Rooivalk, and then I'm just going to do a shout out to the experimental model with the 30mm. So if everyone's ready, I'm going to start.
Whenever
protection. Protection. In line with the Rooivalk design philosophy, its foremost protection lies in its agility and stealth design, which players will hopefully one day be able to put to the test. The former is achieved by a 52% excess hover power to quick reaction and ability to move sideways at 93 kilometers an hour, allowing the Rooivalk to engage targets and disappear behind cover quickly. With regarding to stealth design, particular attention was paid during the development to reduce its radar, infrared, and noise signature. Radar signature is reduced by making use of carbon fiber and metallized fairings to shield the rotor mast and controls. The canopy surface makes use of RF reflecting material. The IR signature of the engine is reduced passively by angling the exhaust upwards into the rotor blades, downwash for quicker heat dispersal. The visual signature of the fuselage offers a 1.2 meter target from the front and 4 meters from top to bottom of the rotor head, minimized by using flat and single curvatures surfaces where possible. The main rotor acoustic noise is reduced by keeping the rotor tip speed low, and passive measures include measures to reduce the engine noise at the intake and exhaust. A combination of the aforementioned makes it difficult for enemies to acquire and engage the Rooivalk. The Rooivalk structure and dynamic systems have been designed to tolerate 23mm high explosive rounds and survive direct hits from 12.7mm armor-piercing rounds and keep on working for at least 30 minutes. The self-sealing fuel tanks can also survive a direct hit from a 12.7mm AP round without exploding. The aircrew stations are armored against 12.7mm rounds, and the seats are crash-worthy with a minimized likelihood of injury to the crew if the crash occurs within the designated performance criteria. It is equipped with a helicopter warfare self-protection suit, which includes integrated defense aids from Saab. The suit provides laser warning, missile approach warning, as well as full multispectral detection capabilities for radar. The laser warning system covers broadband laser frequencies to detect, plot, bearing, and range for the display of the laser threat. The radar warning system makes use of a low-efficient radiated power pulse Doppler radar detection for beyond radar detection range. Once a target is detected, the countermeasure system deploys shafts and flare from dispensers on either side of the rear fuselage to confuse incoming IR or radar-locked missiles. The system can also be operated manually or semi-automatically. That concludes the traditional Rooivalk helicopter.
I'd just like to thank Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Trigger Hippie, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Hosest Kishore, Hans, Barine, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.